Hello, seventh grade. Had a bunch of us join for the SpaceX launch yesterday on our Zoom. Unfortunately, the weather said nope, no launch today. If you don't know what we're talking about, SpaceX was trying to return astronauts, U.S. astronauts from U.S. soil to space in conjunction with NASA. Fix my light here. SpaceX, which is a company owned by Elon Musk, awarded a contract, and they've been testing for a long time. The Dragon system. It's a space capsule mounted on top of their Falcon Heavy rocket, and the idea was to get two astronauts up into space, dock with the International Space Station, and get them on there. We have been getting our astronauts to the space station using a Russian spaceship called the Soyuz, and they are very kind enough to let us ride on their ship, and they only charge us $80 million a trip per seat. So that's pretty expensive. So we were trying to get our own ship so that we can get our own astronauts up and back to the space station without paying the Russians $80 million a seat per person. SpaceX was thinking it would cost about $55 million right now a seat to get our own astronauts up, which is a big savings. And they believe once they get enough rockets and spacecraft going, they can actually bring that price down. So they have like a continuous vehicle that can go to space. But weather said no, and they're going to try again on Saturday. I believe the proposed launch time is 3:22, although the weather does not look all that much better long-range forecast for Saturday, but they'll give it a go. But something a little closer to home here is, as I drop everything, genetics. We're getting ready to wrap up genetics here. We talked about sex-linked traits the other day, and these are traits that, let's see if we can actually, there we go. These are traits that, of all of our chromosomes, we have a visual up here, where we had 46 chromosomes, 46, 23 pair. And then this last pair down here is called the sex chromosomes, determines your gender. And if it looked like this, one larger one smaller one, this was going to be a boy or a male. If this last pair were both about the same size, this was going to be a girl. Looks like some sort of modern graffiti here. A girl. And so if you had this version, we call it XX, meaning they're both basically the same. And this one over here is called XY, because you have an X, I don't want to say normal, but full size. And then you have this other one that isn't full size, so we call it a Y. So XY represents a boy, XX represents a girl. And there are some traits that are not carried on the Y. Some that are carried on the X here. So if you had a trait here, a dominant one, we talked about hemophilia the other day. If you are capital H, meaning you did not have hemophilia, a condition where your blood does not clot and you bleed a lot from a cut or an injury, in this case, it's capital H, lowercase h. So this person does not have hemophilia because they have the dominant gene for no hemophilia. Their blood will clot, even though they're a carrier here. Now, if you only have an X, whatever you inherit, well, that's what you're going to have. So if you inherit a capital H, then you won't have hemophilia. If you were to inherit a lowercase h, they don't go onto the Y. You can't put hemophilia genes on a Y. They only go on an H. So you only kind of have one chance here of either having it or not based on the Punnett squares. Speaking of Punnett squares, That's not one. That's me. Many, many times. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at this. In fruit flies, eye color is a sex-linked trait. Okay. Red is dominant to white. So there could be two possibilities. You could have red eyes or white eyes. So if red is dominant, it looks like we're going to use capital R is going to represent red. Red. Capital R is going to represent red. And lowercase r is going to represent white. I'm just going to put a W here for white. All right, so what are the sexes and eye color of the flies in the following genotypes? Well, we can do this. This is XX. That means that's very big letters. That means, as we get some smaller letters here, XX is going to be female. Hello. XX is going to be female for this one. Now, what color eye? There's a capital R and a lowercase r. Capital R is dominant. It says right here, red is dominant to white. So if there's a capital R, that is going to be red. Oh, there we go. Red eyes. Let's look at this next one. XX. That's a female. Capital R, that's red. Let's look at the difference between these two. This is red and this one's red-eyed, but this one is red because it has a dominant and a recessive. So we call that, remember, heterozygous. This one is homozygous for red. This we call a carrier. They're carrying the recessive gene. They could pass it along. All right, let's look at these flies over here. Let's try to look at these flies over here. Yay. XY, that's a male. Oh, no. What happened? Okay. Yay, we're back. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Having a little technical issues here today, folks. There we go. Okay, so here's a male. And now you notice there's only one place we can look because eye color is carried on the X chromosome. So I'm not even going to look over here because there's nothing there. And it has red eyes. And this one's a male. And this one has white eyes. And I know that because the only place where you can find the chromosome on the X here for this, it is sex-linked. It's only found on these genes. There's 22 other pair, but the eye color is only found on this pair. That's it. All right, so what are the genotypes? So a white-eyed male. So if it's male, we know it has to be XY. And if it's wide-eyed, we know we're going to use a lowercase r, and the only place we can put it is right there on the X because it's sex-linked on the X. Okay, let's go white-eyed female. Okay, so let's do the female part first. We know if it's a female, it is XX. Okay, and if it's wide-eyed, it's only one possibility for wide-eyed, and that is lowercase r, lowercase r. Because if there was an uppercase r anywhere here, it would be red-eyed. All right, let's go red-eyed female heterozygous. We have a little more information. So let's do female first. Red-eyed female. Female is going to be XX. Now it's red-eyed, but it's heterozygous. That means there's one of each. Well, if it's red-eyed, that means there has to be a capital R. And if it's heterozygous, that means lowercase r. One of each, but the capital R, the dominant one, is winning out because it does have red eyes. A red-eyed male. Male is, oh, what the heck was that? Like we zoomed in here. Having some definite technical issues today. All right, so male XY try and line this back up the best I can. Okay, red-eyed means has to have a capital R. Do my best to put a capital R there. All right. Okay. Well, let me clear that up because that's gotten a little confusing. This says show the cross between a white-eyed female with a red-eyed male. Well, I think, let's see, 3, 4. I say you give these 3 a go. Let's cross. You do 3, 4, and 5. Run those Punnett squares. Do them on a scrap piece of paper, wherever you need to do them. And see if you can cross these sex-linked traits fruit flies and see what color percentage there, how many wide-eyed males, wide-eyed females there are. And have fun with it. And if you... Boy, I'm having some real trouble here today. There we go. I can see myself. If you got those PTC strips and tried that, also let me know how that went. Were you a taster? Were you a non-taster? What about your folks, your family? Were they tasters or non-tasters? Let me know. I'm curious to see if anyone did that. All right, everyone. We will run those squares tomorrow together, and we'll see how you did. So long.